Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Green Lanterns Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Will Smith of Sector 2814, and on today's episode, we have a new update for my adventures with Green Lantern. So far, all we really know is that the majority of the studio behind my adventures with Superman is behind this project, as well as the main character was going to be Jessica Cruz. In the original snippets or synopsis for the show, we did get a little bit about Jessica Cruz, but today it was brought to my attention via Reddit. You can see here on the screen r/Green Lantern. The user at the top is a naive-tonight-1387. They're the one who posted it, so I want to make sure I give them the credit for alerting me to this article. And they do have the link at the bottom of it, which I always appreciate. And again, I always like to give a shout out to whoever is they might not be the source of the information, but they're the ones who alerted me to it. So just taking a look at their page here, I do want to give a shout out to, looks like at the top, they're going by Temple. And you can see over here, they do have some links, including their own YouTube page, which is at Temple277. And they have just a couple of videos up. 24 subscribers. Maybe somebody will watch this video and go check them out. This Superman 2025 with Crypto chilling. That video might be something you're interested in letting run in the background, just kind of like enjoying, you know, the scenery or whatever. But they're the ones who got me this information. Shout out to them at Temple277 on YouTube. Show them some love here or show them some love on Reddit. Now, when I reached out to them and asked them where did they get this information from and do they want to be shouted out, are they okay with me giving them a shout out? We had a little chat conversation back and forth. Now, to their credit, when I asked them if they wanted to be shouted out or if they were okay with it, they said yes, but they wanted to give a different person credit for being the ones who alerted them to the article that they shared in the unofficial Green Lantern Discord server. So while I don't have that chat conversation up on the screen, because I didn't ask if I could share the conversation, so I don't want to show it on screen and, you know, break some privacy, trust issues type things. But, I will have the username and the link to the Discord in the description of the video if you want to go give them a thanks for getting the news out to the masses. But back to the major bits here. Over here on Night Edge Media, you have the actual article of information that we are going over, which is that a casting call goes out for Jessica Cruz in My Adventures with Green Lantern animated series. And the tagline says, a casting call has gone out for teenage Jessica Cruz in the upcoming DC Studios animated series, My Adventures with Green Lantern. And it is written by Caleb Williams, not the one who plays for the Bears, but he's definitely a cool dude who likes the Mets. So make sure, you know, you give him a hard time about it over on X if you interact with him over there. Getting into the meat and bones of the actual casting call, it says Jessica Cruz. They're looking for an actress who is 18 and older that can play a 14 to 15-year-old Latina. It says, please note, this role will sing in the series, looking for talent who can sing. Jessica had a normal childhood. She played softball, hung out with her best friend Kyle and Nikki, and stayed out of trouble. But Jess's life collapsed when everyone around her hit puberty and got mean. Betrayed by friends and bullied out of softball, Jess withdrew. Better to be small and safe than to be yourself and get hurt. We meet Jess at the top of high school, a chronically anxious freshman who starts the year hoping to keep her head down and get by, but who ends up being chosen by a magic ring to be the cosmic champion of all life, the Green Lantern. Despite her fear, anxiety, and her low opinion of herself, Jess will find that she does have the tenacity and courage to meet this challenge to become the world's greatest hero. Keywords that they were looking for were lovable, relatable, plucky, overthinker, ball of anxiety, series regular, voiceover. At the bottom of this, underneath the quote at the bottom of the article, it says South Korean animation studio, Studio Mir, will animate the series in their signature anime art style, same team that did My Adventures with Superman. DC Studios is producing the project, but it's expected to be an Elseworld story, not connected to the Green Lantern live-action series on HBO Max. Sarah Noonan and Agnes Kim will serve as casting directors on the show. So if you are in that mold of 18 and older, but you got the voice of a 14 to 15-year-old Latina and you can sing, find a way to get in touch with Sarah Noonan and Agnes Kim. So in that little snippet there, obviously the story that we are used to when it comes to Jessica Cruz is a little bit different than what we know, which I guess is something you do typically have to change up when you're adapting like a comic book to an animated series, or, you know, they hire writers on to adjust things as they see fit, and that's what they're going to do here. As for the keyword descriptions, I do believe Jess does fit these things. I think she is a lovable character. She is a relatable character. Part of that being relatable is her anxiety and having to get over it all the time. You know, this is a very different role from her than what she's currently fulfilling in the main Green Lantern comic run written by Jeremy Adams, where she is the leader of the Green Lantern Corps at the moment. And now we're going to see her in an Elseworld story where she's a freshman in high school, getting bullied, betrayed, and probably having to overcome a lot of emotions. Now, the other thing in this article that I think stood out is that she played softball and then she hung out with her best friends, Kyle and Nikki, and stayed out of trouble. Now, to me, if you're making a Green Lantern animated show in the form of My Adventures of Superman, while watching that, some of the transitions and animations, you can't help but think, man, My Adventures of Superman is cool, but it would have been a lot cooler with like Kyle Rayner being the Green Lantern on that, like having his own show, because they did a lot of like anime style. I think there was like a Gundam Sailor Moon type transition that Superman is able to do when he's getting his outfit on. And Kyle, being the artist that he is and how creative he is, I think that it would definitely benefit both the show and fall perfectly in line with what Kyle is great at in terms of coming up with cool constructs and stuff like that because of his artistic, very creative mind. If we couldn't get a full-blown show with Kyle, a lot of us would like to see him in this. And I don't think that you can put a character in this named Kyle and not have it be Kyle Rayner. It would feel weird, and it would be weird for a lot of Green Lantern fans to have a Kyle hanging out with Jessica Cruz, who's going to take on a Green Lantern form, and not have it be the Kyle that we know. It would be like having a character that she interacts with named Hal, and the character is not Hal Jordan and doesn't become a Green Lantern. But I also recognize that I'm completely biased because Kyle is my favorite Green Lantern of all time, and I want to see him in every single thing. So I just really, really want him in this. And I even reached out to the people who are behind this and tried to get any sort of information on will Kyle make an appearance, and they obviously never wrote me back because I'm just a nobody to them, and I get it. But this does make me feel like I should be wearing a blue ring of hope because I have a little bit more now seeing Kyle's name in this, if this is an accurate leak. And then there was a second name in here where her other best friend outside of Kyle, their name was Nikki. And if you try to look through like Green Lantern fandom lore and look for a Nikki, there really isn't one that would stand out. But me being me and having all day after work ended to just like read stuff online, I was checking out some different subreddits. And again, want to give credit to the Reddit here, r/DCU leaks. Under the post that I made sharing this news over there, there was somebody, as we scroll down here, named JTy135. And they said, best guess for who Nikki is right here. And it opens up this page here, which says Nicole Morrison, New Earth. Nicole Morrison was a host for Adara, the entity of hope. So I know you might think it's a little bit of a reach. Nikki, Nicole, yes, that is a nickname for Nicole. A lot of girls with the name Nicole will go by Nikki, so it makes sense there. But is there anything deeper that would help strengthen that this might be this particular character? Absolutely. I mean, outside of also, you know, being the host of Adara, the entity of hope for the Blue Lantern Corps, her origin story reads like this. Nicole Morrison was born and raised in Livonia, Michigan. Her mother had raised her to forgive others, even when they had done wrong things. When she was 14 years old, Nicole was abducted by Winston Woods while leaving Bates Hamburger, leaving only her backpack by a dumpster. Taking the child into his place, Winston kept Nicole captive. whilst being nice to her as he had done with other children in the past. Nicole's disappearance led to a search being conducted with her parents being worried and giving a speech to the public on the second day of the search. Woods attempted to force feed her when Nicole claimed that she had forgave him, much to Winston's confusion. When she asked him to forgive her, she threw the food into his face and temporarily blinded him, giving Nicole an opening to flee outside the apartment. But he stopped her and became angry and aggressive. When hope seemed lost, Adara manifested itself, declaring that all will be well, taking Nicole as a host. After possessing her, the hope entity told Winston Woods that he had ripped out the hope of others during his evil acts, but Adara forgave him. There was a flash of light, and Woods screamed in apparent agony, whereupon Nicole said that the world would know of it. So again, here we are telling a story that's going to take place in early high school when kids are very young. You saw the age that they're looking for Jessica Cruz's voice actor to play the role of an even younger character than their age. And this character has a lantern past, and the Blue Lantern Corps, being taken over by the Hope entity itself, and it happened while she was like 14 years old. So same age that Jessica Cruz is supposed to be in the show. It makes a lot of sense to me if Nicole Morrison is adapted into this show to be one of Jessica Cruz's friends. So then you would have Jessica Cruz becoming the Green Lantern. You would have Nicole Morrison potentially bringing in the Blue Lantern element. We don't know who the villains are going to be yet, but almost everything with Jessica involves a Yellow Lantern of some fashion. Maybe Sinestro, maybe one of the other younger Yellow Lantern Corps members, Sinestro Corps members. I don't know. And then you have Kyle, who has donned the ring of every spectrum that there is. So you can have a Green Lantern, you can have a Blue Lantern, and then you can have Kyle be whatever you need filling in different episodes, kind of showing her the way, possibly. Maybe Kyle is the Green Lantern in My Adventures with Green Lantern. I don't know, but all of this seems to make sense to me. Let me know what you guys think in the comment below. Are we onto something? Do you think that this Nikki could be Nicole Morrison? Do you think Kyle is going to be Kyle Rayner? Give me your best guesses. Fingers crossed it is. I'll catch you guys on the next one.